Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our first webinar for 2019 from the Office of Credit Union Resources and Expansion. My name is Catherine Baxter. I'm going to be your moderator for today's event. We're so glad to have you on today. Before we turn our webinar over to our speakers, and before I make the introductions, we just have a few housekeeping announcements that we'd like you to pay attention to. Notice your screen. Please adjust the computer volume on your computer or your laptop or your speakers so that you can hear this webinar. If you'd like to resize these slides, you can drag the bottom right corner to do that. From this website, you will need to allow pop-ups. You'll notice on your console there's an Ask a Question feature. Please ask questions to our audience. In fact, if you know the name of the person speaking once we make the announcement, please direct your question to that person, or you can just send a general question to us. And as always, in approximately 3 weeks, this webinar will be closed captioned for on-demand viewing. We also have a survey, and we have a teal colored widget on your console that we'd like you to give us your opinion on this webinar, and we'd also ask that you participate in our polling questions. We're also live streaming this via Twitter, so if you'd like to join us on Twitter, we'd certainly love to have you. We have our executive team from NCUA here in the Office of Credit Union Resources and Expansion. We have Martha Ninichuk, who is our director, and we also have JeanMarie Komyathy, who is our deputy director. Joining them is a member of our training team, Ron Good, who's one of our instructional systems specialists. So without further ado, I'm going to turn everything over to Martha. Martha.
Thank you, Catherine. Good afternoon. It's been about 18 months since we went through the NCUA realignment, which joined the previous Office of Small Credit Union Initiatives and the consumer access side. So I thought this would be good timing to hold a webinar, tell you all what's happening in CURE and what you can expect in the near future. On the slide in front of you, you see our tagline. It is, "Let us help you grow." And that is truly our mission for CURE. Any credit union that is looking to expand their field of membership, we take field of membership expansions, bylaw changes. We do work with organizing groups and new charters, and we combine those expansion requests with resources to assist in the development of your institution. So CURE also holds the Community Development Revolving Loan Fund, the grant program and the loan program, and we have a learning management service, a platform on which to hold new training sessions or free training sessions for credit unions that JeanMarie and Ron will go over in the next couple minutes. So as an example that I like to use is a credit union that's looking to expand into an underserved area. They would submit an application to CURE. Consumer access analysts would take a look at that application and work with the credit union and through its approval process. But then again, inform the credit union of what resources are available to them. So if the credit union is not a low-income designated credit union, we'd provide them that information. Once they receive the designation, then it would make the credit union available or they're accessible to our grant and loan program. And also, check out some training that's specific to what the credit union is trying to do, which is actually, assist and provide financial services to underserved populations. So, NCUA is, as we stated before, looking at new initiatives, and one that we're working on this year is chartering or a modernization of the chartering process. This is an endeavor that is very supported by NCUA Board of Directors, and CURE is working with making that happen. So as a part of that, we've developed an online portal for interested individuals that want to start a credit union. And what this portal does is, can you bring up the next slide? Walks the individual through a number of questions, which informs them and educates them as to what it takes to open up a new charter or a new credit union. Questions like, what type of field of membership are you going to have? Are you going to be a minority depository institution? Also, do you know how much capital it really takes to open up a credit union? We're trying to be very transparent in informing people how difficult it is to open a new credit union. And I think you all would be surprised, actually, that we would get at least 50 calls a month for people that are really interested in starting a new institution. So we're trying to be very forward-thinking, trying to get people to understand what it really takes to start a new institution. So this is our first step.
So, Martha, does this proof of concept replace the application for a new charter?
No, not at all. So what happens is when the organizing group or the individual that goes through this proof of concept, they submit their materials to CURE. An analyst looks at the packet. If the packet is complete, then they are invited to submit an application. Okay. So this is like a first step.
Okay.
And then they continue on the chartering process.
So it's really designed to give the organizing person the opportunity to evaluate their plans and look at the different pieces that are needed to get to the application.
Exactly, because what we were receiving, previously were, packages that were incomplete. And it would just take a lot of back and forth. Right. So we're trying to inform them up front what's needed.
Okay.
Okay. So we're very excited about this new online portal. We're looking to launch it end of July. And then there's, many processes that will happen thereafter as we work through the charter modernization process. So on the next screen, you'll see the number of transactions that took place through the consumer access area of CURE. When I say consumer access, it's basically field of membership applications and requests for expansions. And as you can see, the numbers really reflect that credit unions are really doing what they're supposed to do, and that is expand and provide financial services to institutions. So their field of memberships, they're continuing to reach out to those people that are seeking these services. As a part of our initiative, we're looking at our internal structure as well, trying to be more efficient, more consumer friendly. In the next couple of weeks, you'll start to receive customer satisfaction surveys from our office. So when you complete a field of membership application or expansion, we'll have a return email to you inviting you to complete an application. And please take the time to do so. It's 3 or 4 short questions. We want to hear how we're doing because that's the only way that we're going to improve upon what we actually offer right now. And same thing after our community development revolving loan grant program, which kicks off in the next couple months. After the grant process is complete, we'll send out the same type of customer satisfaction surveys to credit unions. So a lot of things going on in CURE. We have a new newsletter that will be launched in the next, I'm hoping the next couple of weeks, and then it will go out quarterly thereafter. You'll start to, within the newsletter, it'll be hot topics for credit unions, announcing new courses or training available in CURE. We do have the Minority Depository Institution Preservation Program, and we're building out that program as we speak. So there'll be notifications for the MDIs to participate in different events or be notified of the courses developed specifically for them.
So we're using the newsletter to keep people informed of what's happening in CURE, just like
absolutely.
This webinar is.
Yes. So, we're really trying to expand our outreach efforts to communicate with the industry, and we hope to have that same feedback from the industry. We have FAQ Plus, which I think JeanMarie is going to talk about in the future, but that's another mechanism that stakeholders can use to communicate with our office. CURE also has a vlog. It's something new that I've never heard of before until staff informed me about it, but it's a short video log. It's 5 minutes of, again, this is what's happening in CURE. And it'll be different topics, like we just finished one a couple days ago, similar about, upcoming events in CURE. I think the next one is about the grant round, and possibly I think the following one is proof of concept. So all these vlogs will be located on our learning management service. So if you missed the rollout of one, you can go back a couple months and see what the vlog showed at the time. There'll be a catalog of those vlogs. And actually, I think at this point, I'll turn over to JeanMarie and Ron, and we can start to go into our specific program areas.
Well, great. Thanks, Martha. I look forward to sharing with you what's happening today. But before we get started about specific areas, we do have a poll. The first thing I'm going to talk about is our grant and loan program. So I'd like to hear from all of you. Have you applied for an NCUA grant in the past? So if you could take just a minute to answer our quick survey of yes, no, or you're not a credit union. We'll give that a few seconds for people to respond.
Sure.
And then, Catherine, if you could bring up the results when they're ready.
I certainly will.
This is an important information for us because of the funds for the grant loan program are appropriated by Congress, and so we use a lot of these statistics to inform the constituents of how these funds are really needed by credit unions and how important it is for them to receive these funds to continue offering products and services or new program areas for their members.
So looking at the results, it looks like we have about half of you have applied for a grant or loan in the past, half of you have not, and then there's a few in there that are not credit unions. So thank you all for giving that. That gives me some idea of the audience and what information we could share. As Martha talked about, going to the next slide, we can talk a little bit about our grant round. It is upcoming. This year, as in the past several years, we've had $2 million appropriated from Congress, and we're using that funding so that with 4 new initiatives this year, our 4 initiatives are counseling services. So we'll be offering funds that people can do a financial counseling or a housing counseling certificate. We'll be offering a grant in digital services and security. So if you have something you want to do in an electronic service or something that's new for your credit union, there will be funds available for that. We'll be offering a training grant. In the past few years, we've done leadership training. For this year, we're offering any kind of training for anybody on your staff or potentially your volunteers who may need it. And then we'll be offering an underserved outreach grant. And we're pretty excited about that this year. We've tried this for the past several years, offering a $25,000 grant to do new services, to do new kind of outreach, to be innovative. And we've seen some really good projects, but we want to up the game. So we are upping the game. And we'll be offering a $100,000 grant for that initiative this year. And giving the recipients a little bit of an extended period to implement their programs, to really see how we can get out to people who are not served, to get out to people who need credit union service, need credit union products, and may not be getting it right now. Our grant round will open on June 2nd. Prior to the grant round, we'll be offering a WebEx webinar through our learning management service. That will be offered on May 22nd. And when we get to the LMS discussion, we'll do a little bit more about what WebEx is. The grant round will open on June 2nd and will close on July 20th. So it's really important for you to have those dates in mind and to know what they are. And please don't wait till the last day to apply for your grant. There are things that need to be in place. You need to have your DUNS number. You need to be registered through sam.gov. So as the notice of funding is available now. You're welcome to go out and look at that through our website. But look and see what's needed to be able to apply and to understand what's required for our grant round.
Yeah, and another really important piece of it is, credit unions can familiarize themselves with the type of grant initiatives that are available and then go back to their board members and strategize, what would be the best use of these funds. So as soon as you can get out there on the website and take a look at the grant guideline.
Limitations on our grants. As always, they are available for low-income designated credit unions only. But with this year, in the past few years, we've allowed you only to apply for one grant opportunity. This year, we're changing that because of our underserved outreach. So if you choose to do the underserved outreach, you can opt to apply for another one of the initiatives as well. So you could potentially do training and underserved outreach, or counselor certification and underserved outreach. What we are not allowing is to do two of the other initiatives. You can't do both training and counselor certification. So it's really important for you to familiarize yourself with the guidelines and with the notice of funding and understand what all of that is prior to the grant round closing. If you have questions about the grant round, we're certainly willing to take those. We'll have contact information at the end of this webinar where you can reach out and get that information about the grants as well.
So, JeanMarie, I've got a question for you.
Okay.
So you said that you and Martha are encouraging credit unions to not wait until the last minute.
Right.
So do you mean to say you can't get a DUNS number instantaneously or go on sam.gov and register in a minute?
No.
Okay.
There is a process that's involved. I would tell you it may take as much as 2 to 3 weeks to get those numbers and get that registration. So if you don't have it yet, or you have not done your annual review of your sam.gov, now's the time to go in and do that. If you're low income designated, you want to have those two registrations done so you're ready when the grant round opens on June 2nd.
All right, good information. Let's
Great.
get some questions in, folks.
Please, we'll take questions throughout the time. So one of the questions might be, how do I get more information about the grants and loans or about CURE in general? So what we're showing you is our website. This is a quick overview of the Credit Union Resources and Expansion page on ncua.gov, and you'll see you've got categories of everything we've got going on. Our resources, our grants and loans, our learning. Down in the corner we have our FAQ Plus, which Martha talked about a little bit. That's a great place for you to get information about anything credit union related. You can go in, search for topics that may be something that you've looked at, or you can ask a question and get a response. We try to respond back to you very quickly with as much information as we can. But it's a great place to see if your question's already been asked. This is also where you can go to find out about chartering and get materials that are needed. Or through the Learning tab, you'll be able to get to the link that takes you out to our learning management service. So our website is a great resource for whatever you have. And as I said, it is found on ncua.gov, and then click on Credit Union Resources and Expansion. So looking at the website and thinking about taking you out to our learning management service, we come to our next poll question. I'd like to hear how many of you have actually used our learning management service, which has been in place now for over a year.
Yes.
So if you could take a minute just to answer yes or no, it's a quick poll, and then we'll get a sense of who's out there listening that has used it.
And we do need to remind our credit union listeners that the learning management service is only for credit unions.
That's
so
correct.
If we have any of the trades on, they wouldn't be able to access it because it is for our credit unions.
The same thing with NCUA staff who may be listening. The learning management service is a free service for credit unions only. But it's available for credit union staff, for volunteers, for the people that are running the credit unions and need the training that's available. So Catherine, do we have the results?
I am sure we do. Let's take a look. Uh-oh.
So
you guys are missing out.
we have quite a few people on here that have not used our learning management service. So I'm hoping that I can talk to you today and persuade you that you want to go out and find it. So what's on our learning management service? Well, we're very happy to talk about the fact that we've redesigned it and we are relaunching it at the same time that we've got this webinar going on with some great new features. It's still going to have the same courses and certificates and training available, but there's some great new things that we've touched on a little bit, but I'm going to go back to the list and look at what's out there. So first and foremost, it's got a WebEx feature. And with that, we can offer small group training in a little bit more intimate setting than a webinar such as this. So we'll be using that for our grants and loans webinar in May. One of the things I do need to remind you is you do have to be registered as a user of the Learning Management Service with an account in order to access the WebEx training. So if you haven't registered with an account yet, you do want to do that.
And credit unions need their charter number, right?
They do need their charter number in order to register with an account on the Learning Management Service. We have upgraded and more interactive courses available. We're using some new platforms to design our courses. Ron and his compatriot George are eagerly working on new course materials for us that will be much more interactive and much more available, and something that you really want to use. We also are using the monthly Cure vlog that Martha talked about. We'll be introducing that in May, and it will give you up-to-the-minute quick information, just quick snippets about what's happening and what is the current issue that's going on. Our Learning Management Service will have dedicated sections for our minority depository institutions. We'll be offering you training on key issues that are helping your credit union to survive and thrive and grow, because after all, we do want to help you grow. So you can look for that. They'll be identified as MDI issues and MDI areas. We'll also have dedicated areas for new charters, for organizing groups. We'll have things identified that are appropriate for boards of directors. So if you see that on there, you'll see how you can get to information that's for you. Our Learning Management Service will have discussion forums. We'll have asynchronous teaching where you can write in and ask a question, and we'll be able to provide that question back, or provide some information through a forum that other people have participated in and that you'll be able to answer. So not only will we have live training like this, we'll also have that kind of training. And finally, we'll have a live chat feature. During business hours, which are generally 9 to 5, we will have staff available to answer your questions live. It may take a second for them to get to it or for it to work through the system, but as you see on many other websites, I know I've seen it when I go out to try to do airline tickets or to do hotel reservations or to sign up for something. The pop-up box will come up and say, "Can we help you?" Do a live question. We will have that same kind of live chat available for you to use. So we're pretty excited. We think it's going to be a lot of features that will make it more user-friendly and make it much more attractive for all of you. So all of you who said you haven't signed up and haven't used it, I encourage you to go out and look at it. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to turn it over to Ron, who's going to give you a live demo of what our Learning Management Service looks like.
Thank you very much, JeanMarie. So yeah, we're really excited about this. For those of you who have not experienced it yet, which is the majority of our viewers today, I'm so excited to share our new learning management system. I think for those, the small percentage that had been on our on our learning management system before, you'll notice a change. So this is our new website, our new learning management system here. I wanted to show you, and we're going to scroll down a little bit in just a minute. So you
I'm sorry. Let's do that. We're supposed to actually do the video.
Right.
Let's
Yes.
do the video.
Thank you, Catherine. That's
you so
quite
much.
all right.
Here we go.
So you'll get a view. For those of you who have not been on our learning management system, hopefully you will see this is the old system. So this is what it looked like. It was good. It was okay. It was functional. But what is coming, what we have launched actually starting today is live, is a more robust and engaging and, well, organized differently to help you find the information you need to, for example, start a credit union. So right here under organizing groups, I want to show you, first I guess, let's go back to the vlog first. So you see right at the top, we have a link to our vlog that JeanMarie and Martha both talked about. And the May one will be up May 2nd is the date that we're going to publish that. But you'll be able to go back, by month to see what was covered each month, as we've already talked about. And then let's go back to our landing page, and let's look at organizing groups. For example, this will help individuals and people who want to start a credit union and, help them fill out that form that Martha talked about earlier. And here's a course on budgeting, and you can see there's a description, the learning objectives, and then, resources as well, and then the course itself. You click on it, and it starts to play. And as was already mentioned earlier, we are working, me and my my comrade George, we're working on developing even more training that is interactive and exciting and engaging, using new authorware that we're really excited about. So in places, you may have noticed when we first came to this section, there were some categories that did not have any resources in them yet, but that's going to change. We're going to be working diligently to make sure that all of the categories have plenty of information to help our credit unions, volunteers and managers and those responsible for growing it to get the training that they need to be successful. So there's the regulatory, as you can see, and so we're going to kind of go through and look at each one. Governance, that's for anything, our managers,
Especially boards.
Boards, especially the boards, that's correct. And there's a lot of training for boards. So all those BODs, board of directors, I'm sure you figure that out, but there's a lot of training for them, for you. And also the, managers and executives of credit unions as well.
Yeah, and I actually, what Ron touched on earlier is that this is going to be very dynamic. We have a training team now that we've been really happy to put together. And what's wonderful is NCUA has a wealth of subject matter experts that will be able to tap into their knowledge. We already sent out a request to NCUA for those examiners that are specialized in lending. And so the next couple of months we'll be working with those subject matter experts to develop specific courses on lending. So that's the kind of thing that we're really hoping to continue with over the next couple years. Anytime the NCUA puts out a letter to credit unions, how can we break down that information in a more simplified manner? And that would be published then on the Learning Management Service. So this is such a great platform. We're so excited to offer this to credit unions. The other thing, too, is that Ron mentioned, WebEx and the small training opportunities. I really envision, getting some MDIs together and working on specific topics together through this smaller venue. So we're excited. I really encourage all of you to take a look. If you register by using your charter number, that means that you will then have access to courses and then get the certificates back.
That's right.
And what was the last thing that I want to mention?
I think we need to mention that we would like to hear from you as what courses
Yes.
are needed as well. We've got ideas of what we think would be important, but if there are areas or aspects that you're facing as a credit union and you need some training on, or you think others could benefit on, or maybe you have an expertise that we could tap into, by all means, send us those ideas. Let us know. We'll give you, as I said earlier, we'll give you some contact information at the end of this webinar. Let our training team know, and we're happy to develop courses or work on what would be needed for you and be beneficial for you.
And they can use that live chat.
They can use the live chat.
That's what we want to demonstrate right now.
So that's a wonderful segue to the live chat. Very
And that wasn't even in practice.
And that was not even planned. That's good. Good job.
Thank you.
So you're very welcome. So you notice in the lower right-hand corner, you see a blue, I guess that's a long blue bar. It says chat now. If you click on that and you have a question specifically related to training, that's what the purpose of this live chat is. One of us, myself or Catherine or George, will be on duty during normal business hours to answer your question.
Yes.
And
Eastern Standard Time.
Eastern Standard Time, exactly. And if you do happen to log in and ask us a question, and let's say in the middle of the night when you can't sleep and you think of something, we will get back to you on the next business day. We will get a message. It will come back to you. Your answer will come via email. And so, we encourage you to really, take advantage of this opportunity. We're eager to help you in your efforts to learn how to better run your credit union. Maybe it's to train your staff in their own professional development, which is always a great idea. And one of the things that I also wanted to mention is we were talking about your feedback. That was a great point that you made. When you notice when I was demonstrating the learning management system, there are a lot of areas that did not have any content in them yet. And one of the things that we are really excited about doing is changing that. So definitely we need your feedback. So if you've not been on our learning management system, please take a few moments to go on and look at the different categories, look at the areas that are important to you, see what you think is missing, and like JeanMarie said, please let us know, because George and I don't want to get bored, neither does Catherine, and we love to create training. That's what I was born to do.
Yeah,
so
and
please keep me busy.
Yeah, and the other thing too that I've heard is credit unions. This is available online 24/7. So I received a letter from a CEO, and it was a very nice letter stating, "Hey, I love your learning management service. I tell staff, you are required to take X, Y, and Z course. They take it at their own leisure when they have time." And then they show me the certificate, the CEO, the certificate at the time that represents that they've completed the course. So very beneficial if you're trying to help onboard board members and getting them familiar with credit unions. Same with supervisory committee members. We have a lot of training on supervisory committee. So just take a look, familiarize yourself, and enjoy it.
It's really a service for you. So we want it to be beneficial and for you to get the best out of it that you can. So as I promised, we wanted to share contact information. We have several email addresses for the different divisions within CURE. You can always find us at curemail@ncua.gov, and we can post that out to whichever division needs it. But we do have some specific email addresses, and we look forward to hearing from you and knowing how we can provide services or how we're doing. We look forward to getting your survey responses both from this webinar and as we begin asking for your feedback on the materials that we're sending out, and we look forward to hearing what we can do to help you. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Catherine to see what questions we have.
We do have a lot of questions.
Okay, great.
Can I just mention one thing before we get started?
Absolutely.
So I know there's a lot of field examination staff online, and don't be hesitant to recommend to your credit unions that they should look at this educational information. If you see that, they are having challenges in certain areas. And same thing, if the examination staff takes a look at the learning management service and realizes that we don't have a topic that they see in the field as, a challenge to credit unions, we would really like that information. So again, just contact our office. We'll put that on our list of topics to start to build out. But you are our connection with the credit unions many times, so we rely upon you to get us that information.
Awesome. Okay. So Martha, I think what we're going to do is start with one of the earlier questions.
Okay.
So we had a question from a credit union. We kind of laughed about getting a DUNS number and registering on sam.gov. So maybe you can give a little insight, you and JeanMarie. Why is it so difficult to get the DUNS number?
So I don't know that it's necessarily difficult. It just takes a little bit of time. It's not something you can get overnight. The thing that's important about getting both your DUNS number and registering with sam.gov is you have to have accurate information. So your EIN, your tax ID number has to be correct. Your charter number has to be correct. Your address has to match what those numbers have. You have to make sure all of your information is accurate, and as you're putting it in, that it's going to match the records that are in there, so that when sam.gov goes to check and make sure that you have accurate information, it's there.
Right, because what our cyber grant system does is when a credit union starts to complete their application and starts to fill out the required information, it'll actually ping sam.gov, and if that information doesn't match, the credit union won't be able to complete their application.
Right. Okay. So I would encourage you, if you're having questions or if you're having trouble doing it, please reach out to our office and we can offer some advice. We are not in charge of those two numbers, so we can't necessarily answer all the questions, but we can give you what advice or what information we do have.
Exactly. Before I turn it over to George, because he has a question for you, I want to ask another question with regard to the grants. So we have another credit union that said, is the notice of funding available yet? And if it is, where?
Good question. Notice of funding opportunity. I think if you look at the CURE website, it has a link right to it.
Okay.
So go to CURE Grants and Loans, Area Grants, and it'll say Notice of Funding Opportunity Published, and they'll just click to it. It'll take them right to the Federal Register.
Okay, awesome. So, George, turn over to you.
We have a question from another credit union. Question is, if we received a grant in the past, will it affect the chance of getting a grant this round?
In and of itself, that should not affect your ability to get a grant this round. We don't have something that says if you got it last year, you don't get it this year. No. What we do is we look at each year independently, and we look at the grants applications that come in, and through our system of evaluating them and what the initiatives are, and our staff work, they provide a list that are the best qualified to get the grant. And if you fall out in that list with the funding we have available, you could get a grant. I will say that if you have gotten a grant in the past and have not used it, or there has been a problem with how it's been used, we may look to you to clarify what some of that is prior to offering you another grant. But in and of itself, just having gotten one last year will not prevent you from getting one this year.
I absolutely apply. One of the things I can say about our grants, the applications, they're very simplified. It's not a lengthy process, except for the underserved. There's going to be more of a narrative requirement there, but very easy to complete an application.
Right.
So now the next question that George is going to ask, you can decide how.
Okay.
Go ahead, George.
All right.
Okay.
The question is, would opening a new branch in a low-income and / underserved community qualify for an underserved outreach grant?
Yes.
Oh.
That's easy.
Oh.
I mean, it would qualify. You would have to just, within the narrative, I mean, of course, look at the grant guidelines specifically for the underserved area, and it's very explicit about how you can use those funds, what you need to do to complete an application, and then you would have to develop your application according to those guidelines.
Okay. So let's stick with the grant information. So here's another question. It's a good one from a credit union. They said, do you have to be CDFI certified to apply for the underserved outreach grant?
No, you don't. You do not have to be CDFI certified to apply for or receive CDRLF grants through NCUA. That being said, we would encourage our low-income credit unions to consider CDFI certification, because there are many other grant opportunities available through the CDFI that are in addition to and much higher and greater than what NCUA can offer. So as you may or may not know, we do have a streamlined application process where we can help you evaluate your loan and share data and determine whether or not you'd be eligible to use the streamlined application and work with the CDFI fund to become certified. So there is information about the CDFI streamlined application process on our website. If you have not done that, I would encourage you to look at it. Particularly since with CDFI you have to look at your data on an annual basis, the streamlined application does give you a little bit easier process to do that. But if you aren't eligible to use the streamlined application, you can still use the traditional application to apply for and become CDFI certified.
Okay, awesome. So now, got another one. Do you have one for?
I have one for Nina.
Nina Taylor is going to give you a question.
Hello, we have a question from a credit union, and they ask, can the credit union apply for digital service grant for a service that was just recently implemented?
So I would encourage you, off the top of my head, no, I do not believe that would be an eligible thing that we could approve. But again, look at the grant guidelines and make sure that, maybe there's something else that you could apply for that your credit union is looking at implementing in the future. But no, I do not think that would be an allowable application.
Okay. Now we have some questions about the learning management service.
Ron?
Okay.
Yes.
Ron woke up. Okay. Yeah. So Ron, here's the question. You may have to defer this to Martha and JeanMarie.
Okay.
Here's
Good.
the question.
Good.
So the credit union said, will there be a training session in LMS for board BSA training?
Oh, that's a good question.
So I can probably answer that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think there are BSA training materials in our learning management service currently. So there are courses available that board members who register for an account could take and then get a certificate showing that they've completed those courses. But I think if you watch our calendar and watch our announcements coming later this year, I think we are trying to plan a BSA webinar. I'm not sure if it will be a full webinar or something that we offer through our WebEx training. But we are looking at doing some course material and potentially doing a BSA webinar later this year. So watch our vlog or our newsletter, and we'll have more information about that as it gets closer.
I know you feel better, Ron, don't you?
Yes, I like the topic, though. That'd be great to do some training on that. It's a good idea.
So now we're going to dump the thing back into Martha and JeanMarie.
Okay, all right.
Okay. So here's a nice question.
Okay.
Strategy. What are some of your biggest priorities for the rest of the year?
Well, charter modernization is definitely one. We've got a group of individuals at the NCUA taking a look at the overall chartering process. This is a long and lengthy initiative because it's complex. I mean, you have the regulations that would have to be changed, and that takes time, as well as all the policy and procedural development, but that is one. The other strategy for CURE is internal. We're looking at all of our processes and procedures on the consumer access side, seeing where we can not only make our jobs more efficient, but how can we pass that along to the credit unions. So an example would be all of the information that we're asking credit unions to submit in a field of membership packet. Do we need to make changes there? Can we provide some relief? I mean, I don't have an exact question for you on that right now, but that's something that we're exploring. The other things that we're looking at, or actually already achieved, is it's infrastructure. We moved a lot of the paper-based processes to SharePoint, which is expediting a lot of the field of membership work internally. The way that we do assignments, field of membership assignments, we've changed that as well. We've made it automated. So a lot of infrastructure that we're working on right now, which will eventually trickle out to our external credit unions. So we're really looking forward to getting that implemented. So I would say those are our top.
I think I'd like to capture a lot of what you said is we're really looking for efficiency, and we're looking to be more responsive to credit unions and more timely responses to credit unions so that it doesn't take 3, 4, 5 years to charter a credit union or 18, 24 months to get a response on a field of membership expansion for us. Once we get complete information from credit unions, we're trying to be timely and responsive with answers and improve the customer service that our office provides, both internally and externally.
Another example would be, using the learning management service, having a real quick tutorial on what does a credit union need to submit as a full packet when they are looking at expanding their field of membership. We'll have all that information on a learning management service. The credit union can go take a 5-minute tutorial and be better able to submit a full packet, which will then again expedite the review process that we have for consumer access.
Awesome. So now George has a question, and we might have to answer it kind of sadly, but go ahead, George.
I think it might be from an employee. The question goes, why can't NCUA staff utilize these training resources?
Well, that's a good question. And correct me if I'm wrong, training team. So if you go online, you can, on the Learning Management Service, you can watch webinars and videos. Can you gain access to them?
You can watch them.
Okay.
So even for the trades and also for non-credit unions, you can watch any of our webinars. You can watch the videos from the Learning Management Service.
Okay, great.
You just can't open up an account.
Okay, and you can't take a certificate.
Cannot take a certificate course.
You can't. Okay, so that's the difference. You can view a lot of the online materials, you just can't take the course and get a certificate. And the reason for that is because within the budget, with the platform that we have, of course, we're charged per account. So we're reserving those places for credit unions who are the intended audience or the recipients of the training material.
Very good. Excellent answer. I like that.
It's because you answered it. Yeah.
All right. We have a lot of questions, which is good. Okay, great. So here we go. Let me back up a little bit. I'm going to push out a slide, JeanMarie.
Okay, great.
Credit Union wanted to know what are the changes to the learning management service. So I'm going to push out the slide. If you can cite those again.
So I'll go back over those if Catherine can make it so I can actually see the
There we
slide.
go.
Thank you. I'll share again. These are the new features that we're introducing with the Learning Management Service this year. We've tried to make it much more interactive, make it much more engaging. We'll have our small group training opportunity through WebEx. And again, you have to be registered with an account in order to access the WebEx training. Our vlog will be posted through our Learning Management Service. We will have dedicated sections for particular types of credit unions, such as organizing groups or minority depository institutions. And both the discussion forum and the live chat are two of our big new features that will make it much more interactive and much more usable for credit unions. And that's really what we're looking for, is how can we encourage you to go to it and provide training that will be something you want to use and you want to share with your staff. And I encourage credit unions use the Learning Management Service to train staff, to train new volunteers. For boards of directors who need training, it's a great way to register and go in through a group session and all look at a course together and talk through it. There's a lot of information about budgets, about strategic planning, about marketing, all kinds of topics that boards of directors are going to be interested in.
And I'd like to add something quickly here. If you could go back to the slide. Thank you, Catherine. So you see that second bullet that says upgraded interactive certificate courses. So many of the courses that are on the learning management system now are interactive. One of the things that we're doing is combining some of the resources that we have and sort of repurposing them so that it takes you less time to get through the training. For example, we talked about the CDFI funding. There's actually a really nice course on the learning management system now on CDFI funding. It takes you through the steps. It even talks about the streamlined process versus the full process of getting certified as a CDFI. However, it's also a series of webinars and videos. So what's going to happen is we're going to combine all that into one course. So you get the same information, but it won't take you a day to get through it. You can actually get through the training and condense time, and it'll still be very interactive and fun. And so we're looking forward to that. So.
Great.
Absolutely. Okay, awesome. George, did you have a question that you wanted to give the group?
A bit long, but I think I should read it out. I think small business lending skills development would be beneficial for LMS. This is an area where small credit unions lack skills that could help members with small businesses expand. We can't pay the high pay rates that experienced individuals require, so we need to be able to develop these skills internally with limited risk. So I guess it's more like a statement, but
Oh, we appreciate that comment. I mean, small business lending, I know, is a very skilled profession, so we can work to build some more materials on our learning management service. Thank you.
Absolutely. And on that same note, we have another credit union that said, will there be financial literacy training for volunteers?
So I believe that there is some material out there now with financial literacy training for volunteers. I'm not sure how much or exactly what courses are out there, but I do believe there is some. But I also would encourage you to go to mycreditunion.gov, which is another website offered by NCUA that has financial literacy materials and quite a bit of information that may be able to help as well. But we will go back and look, and if there's not much there, we will work on getting that into the schedule as well.
Well, we do have quite a couple more questions about BSA is very popular.
Okay.
So I'm glad that we addressed that. Let's go back. We have another question here. Martha or JeanMarie, do you know what the website is to get a DUNS number? It's Dun and Bradstreet. Do you know what the website is?
Off the top of my head, I do not know what the website is, but I'm sure it is listed in our Notice of Funding Opportunity.
Okay.
So if you go out to our website under Grants and Loans and look at the Notice of Funding Opportunity, I'm sure that there's information in there that provides the website.
Okay, great. Okay. We've got a lot of questions. I'm going to get through as many of them as I can.
Okay.
Here's another one, CDFI. So we have a credit union that recently applied for CDFI streamlined certification. They want to know, should they have heard anything by now? Or?
Not necessarily. They're still going through the analysis process for those credit unions that applied this intake round. So if you don't hear something in the next week or two, just contact our office, the Grants and Loans area. Or I think we have a direct CDFI fund, CDFI email.
I think we do.
Okay,
Yes.
great. I guess we're not speaking clear enough.
Okay.
The credit union wants to know, we're saying SAM, like S as in Sam.
System for Awards Management.
Right. They thought we were saying FAM.
No.
Oh, no.
Family.
Sorry.
Sam.
It's the northerner in me.
Me too.
All righty. Let's see. We have quite a few questions. Before we run out of time, let's go back to the Learning Management Service.
Okay.
So this is a great question. A credit union wants to know, is the Learning Management Service only for small credit unions?
No. The Learning Management Service is for any credit union that can find it useful. At the time that we developed it, we were still the Office of Small Credit Union Initiatives, but it's really designed for any credit union to use. And any credit union volunteer or official or staff member can apply for an account with the charter number of the credit union and identify what area you're in, and you will find the course material and the information. Anybody can, as Martha said, anybody can go out and look at the webinars and videos, but anybody from a credit union can go out and apply for an account. And it's for any credit union.
Absolutely. So now you can wake up Ron.
Oh,
I got a question for you, Ron.
Yes.
You ready?
You. Yes, I'm ready.
So credit union wants to know, how can I register for the LMS?
It's a good question. You go to the website, to the Learning Management System website, and there is a link that tells you exactly how to do that.
But how do you get to the learning management?
Through NCUA.
Oh, through NCUA.gov.
Yeah.
That is correct. Yes.
Catherine, do
That's
we
the
still
website.
have the video that says how to open an account? And does that still work?
We're putting together a new one.
Okay,
Because
great.
since we have a new look
Okay.
to our site, we didn't want to use the old one.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So if you go to NCUA.gov and you go to our
Learning.
CURE area and the learning area, there's a URL with just one click. Will take you right to the LMS.
Right.
And then all you need to do is bookmark it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can just access it directly whenever you want to.
You'll get a warning that you're leaving the website.
Yeah.
It's okay.
That's
Yep.
all right. And because we just restyled
Mm-hmm.
the LMS, it will be available today at 4 p.m.
Okay.
for registrations for the WebEx.
That's happening on May 22nd?
Yeah,
On May
and
22nd,
everybody that
that's
wants
right.
to participate, and we only have 200 slots.
Okay.
And should we talk about the WebEx just real quickly?
Really quickly.
Yes. So the WebEx, it will be definite. It's like a webinar, like this program, except the platform would be slightly different. So that will be actually that grant webinar will be a WebEx, but it will be our webinar for May.
And Catherine, you'll be giving information about the grant initiatives and the grant application process and answering questions as well?
We will through the WebEx. Ikenna will be hosting it,
Okay.
and so he's the grant guru,
Right.
and we're really excited about it. So
Okay,
it's gonna
great.
It's going to be fun. I think we have time for a couple of more questions. Let's see. We have a few CDFI ones. Here's another question. I think we answered this previously, but it can't hurt to ask it again.
Okay.
We recently applied for a CDFI grant. Would this have an impact on applying for an NCUA grant.
Not at all.
It does not, no. Two completely separate grant programs, and you can apply for and receive funding from both.
Awesome. Okay.
Someone is asking, what about the CAMEL code of our credit union? Is that considered?
Yes.
The CAMEL code is.
Yes, it is.
Okay. We have another one here, MDI. Martha, what are your goals for the MDI preservation program?
So there's a couple of, I guess, prongs for the MDI preservation program is to provide education for them, which will be, again, cataloged on the Learning Management Service, awareness to credit unions on how to self-designate themselves as an MDI, which is on the credit union profile, and you have to do this in order to be reflected as an MDI. And also, is there any type of partnership opportunities? So we're looking at having a mentoring list available on the NCUA website. And let me see, am I forgetting anything?
No, I think those are the three.
The three main
major
ones. And also just to bring that group together, MDIs, and get information from them about how we can help them further.
Okay, wonderful. And we're going to make this our last question. Let's see if I can have George do it. It's about the LMS, and I think you all addressed it.
Okay.
But I think we need to let people know about this even more so.
Okay.
Short of us recommending this service to other credit unions, is there anything that credit unions or CEOs can do specifically to help the learning service?
I'll take that one and then see if you have anything to add. I think the biggest thing that can help us provide a better learning management service to you is if we know what you want. If we see you using it, if we understand what training you need, and if you communicate to us what would be helpful to you, that gives us the information we need to create content you will use. So please share your ideas. Please share your thoughts on what's needed. If you're taking courses and you think, this is great, or this is great at my size, but it may not work for a larger credit union or a smaller credit union, give us ideas on ways that we could really tailor our training to make it what the credit union industry needs.
Can I add something real quick
Yes.
to that? Yes. So, and the other thing is, please give us your feedback on the course you took, any courses you take. What worked for you, what interactions helped you learn, what things helped you understand the topic, anything like that. It's a big help to us so we can improve the training that we develop moving forward.
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you.
Feedback. And so we're going to kind of end it right now. Remember, on your console, audience, there is a teal colored widget. That's our survey. And that's where you can also tell us what you'd like us to have in our learning management service, any pertinent information that you'd like to give Martha, JeanMarie, or Ron from this webinar. And we just want to hear from you to see what you thought about what we had to say today, what they had to say today. And we look forward to you joining us if you're part of the individuals that'd like to be in the grant round on May the 22nd. Remember, we only have 200 slots. Our next webinar we're planning is June. We'll make an announcement about that later. But we thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to sign off now. We're going to thank Martha, Ninichuk, JeanMarie Komyathy, and Ron Good for presenting what's happening in CURE for 2019. We'd also like to thank Nina Taylor and George Kudwa for our Q&A. Kenzie Snowden is our Twitter guru. And, of course, Franz Ayento, our behind-the-scenes guy. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Y'all have a wonderful afternoon and a great week.